Hello everybody, this is Alex McCracken, Pumpkin Jesus, returning for the 2018 giant pumpkin growing season. Welcome. It's pretty cold here still, it's in the 40s today, but at least it's not snowing. So I just wanted to show you around the pumpkin patch here in early April, show you what I'm up to today and what's going to be happening in the next week or two as we get ready for an early start this year despite the cold weather. So we'll see how that goes. So today, as I flip the camera around, here is the state of the pumpkin patch. Pretty bare. I didn't plant a cover crop this year. I want to get back to that this fall. There's a lot of grass though. Grass usually survives the winter really well here. And unfortunately I have a lot of grass up at this end of the patch every year, so I just have to get the tiller out here next weekend. That's my plan. But today I am moving my heating cables from last year's spot to this year's planting spot. This is just a cable, warms up the soil, and we use that in the spring to try to warm up the soil to get an early start. Didn't really seem to make a huge difference for me last year, but I'm trying it again, along with making some changes this year to see if that helps. But this is kind of I'm going to turn the camera so you can kind of see the pattern that you lay out the heating cable. It's about 6 inches deep. Kind of put it out in a zigzag pattern like that, so it's not crossing itself anywhere, and all evenly spaced in about a 5 foot by 5 foot area. And I believe once that's plugged in, it keeps the soil at like 74 degrees. And the main benefit of that is, besides the fact that the plants love it, and the reason the plants love it is because the soil microbes love it. Right now the soil's probably, I don't know if it's 48 or 50 degrees, something like that. There's not much activity going on in the soil at that temperature. There's a few worms here and there, but they're moving really slow. And so to get the first nutrient the plants need early in the spring is nitrogen. That's the first thing they need in a large quantity. And nitrogen has to go through what's called the nitrogen cycle before it becomes available to the plant roots. And that involves the soil microbes. They have to consume some nitrogen and then die, and then or get consumed by other microbes in the soil and then get pooped out by them, and that's what is then available to the plant roots. And so that cycle doesn't even start happening until the soil warms up a bit. So the cables are there to hasten that whole process, and if it works the way it's supposed to, my plants will get off to an earlier start this year. I once again have a pollination goal of June 15th, I guess. That's kind of an aggressive goal, but that's what I'm going to shoot for. So heating cables here, and I have another spot down there to put one in. 2 of my plants are getting heating cables this year. The other plants are not, because I just don't have any more cables, and I'm not buying any more right now. So what I think are my 2 biggest potential plants are going in these 2 spots. And I'm not going to reveal my lineup of seeds yet. We'll do that sometime next week when I start the seeds. So that's that. And one thing I'm doing differently this year is, instead of just covering the heating cable with the garden soil, I'm going to throw some manure in there also. I'm going to put a little layer of manure right on top of the cable, then some soil, then maybe a little more manure. I'm going to mix some compost in as well from my compost pile, because the compost contains microbes, of course, which will you know, in combination with this nitrogen source and the heat, will hopefully get my plants kicking ass early. So that's that. The other thing I'm going to do this afternoon is spread a couple amendments on the pumpkin patch. I'm using crushed oyster shells for calcium source and green sand for potassium source. I don't believe I added any green sand last year, and my soil test looked a little bit low on the potassium, so I'm putting in some green sand, about 144 pounds spread over the patch, and then 300 pounds of oyster shells, which are a long-term calcium source. They need to be broken down a bit too before they become plant available. But if you add them every year, you always have some that, you know, are in the process of breaking down and some that are finishing breaking down. And you should, in theory, have a constant steady supply of nutrients to your plants, thanks to the soil microbes, which we always try to be nice to. Except for rototilling, which isn't really nice to them. But I haven't gotten to the no-till state yet. It's a nice goal of mine. So anyway, that's the pumpkin patch. I did want to say about calcium too. I used to use gypsum as a soil amendment, because what they always sell you on with gypsum is that it will loosen up your clay soil and make it more aerated and stuff. But what I've learned about gypsum, and I may have said this in a previous video, I'm not sure, it is a salt, chemically speaking, which means it draws moisture towards it when you put it in the soil, just like all chemical fertilizers do also. And a lot of that moisture getting sucked from the soil towards the gypsum gets sucked out of the soil microbes, so it kills a lot of microbes also. So I go with the oyster shells now, and that's why. Alright, I don't know what else to say right now. I gotta clean up a lot of crap here too. All this row cover from last year still laying around, but we'll get there. Got about I'm hoping 3 weeks till planting day. Start the seeds next weekend. We will have another video for you then, and I believe that's it. So thank you for watching, everybody. I am Pumpkin Jesus. Happy spring, and we will see you in a week. Bye.